Have you ever watched someone disappear? No fight, no closure, no explanation? One day they're there, and the next day, they cut everyone off like you never mattered. But here's the truth. Most people who cut everyone off aren't cold. They're overloaded. In this video, I'll explain the psychology behind why people suddenly cut everyone off, what they're actually feeling, and the signs that they're not fine. They're silently shutting down. Some people cut everyone off in a dramatic way, but most do it quietly. No would-be, no long paragraphs, no apology. They just vanish. And when you try to understand it, it feels like betrayal. But psychology says something different. Cutting everyone off is often not hatred. It is a survival response. It is what happens when someone's emotional system becomes too overwhelmed. And the only way they can breathe again is by disappearing. Today we'll explore why they do it, what's happening in their mind, what kind of childhood patterns create this, and whether they ever come back. It's not coldness, it's emotional overload. People think they don't care, but usually the opposite is true. They cared too much for too long. They tried to stay available, to keep up friendships, to be emotionally supportive, to not disappoint people, but their mind becomes overloaded. Think of it like a phone with too many apps running. At some point it doesn't work, so it shuts down. Cutting everyone off is like forcing your brain to go into power-saving mode. Not because they hate you, but because they cannot handle any more emotional stimulation. They feel unsafe being seen. Many people cut everyone off when they feel emotionally exposed. When someone sees their pain, they feel vulnerable. Instead of asking for help, they disappear. Because for them, being seen equals being judged. They learned, if I show weakness, people will use it against me. If I share my feelings, they'll leave. If I need someone, they'll disappoint me. So they choose isolation. Not because it's comfortable, but because it feels safe. The I'm fine personality. There's a type of person who says, I'm fine, even when they're breaking inside. They don't ask for help, don't complain, don't express emotional needs. And one day, they just disappear. Why? Because they don't know how to communicate pain. So they communicate through distance. Cutting everyone off becomes their only language. Burnout from people-pleasing. This is one of the biggest reasons. People who cut everyone off often spent years being too kind, too forgiving, too understanding. They overgave, over-explained, over-tolerated, until something small happens, and it becomes the final trigger. Not because that one thing was huge, but because it was the last drop. Their brain says, I can't do this anymore. So they cut everyone off, and suddenly their nervous system feels quiet for the first time. Childhood pattern, emotional neglect. Psychology says emotional neglect creates adults who isolate. In childhood, they learned, nobody listens, nobody understands. Emotions don't matter. Needs are ignored. So they stopped expecting support. Even when they grow up, they still carry that belief. I can only rely on myself. So when life becomes overwhelming, they don't reach out. They withdraw, because that's what their brain learned as normal. They cut everyone off to regain control. Control is a huge reason. When life feels messy, people feel powerless. But cutting everyone off gives them one thing: control. They can't control emotions, relationships, past trauma, disappointment, but they can control distance. That's why they do it suddenly. It gives them relief. They're not antisocial. They're highly sensitive. Some people cut everyone off because their brain is highly sensitive. Social energy drains them fast. They absorb tones, emotions, moods, hidden tension. So for them, being around people isn't relaxing. It's mentally exhausting. They go home and replay everything. So they isolate not to punish others, but to protect their mind. Do they ever come back? Sometimes yes, but only if they feel emotionally safe again. They heal their burnout. They stop feeling judged. They don't feel pressured. If you chase them aggressively, they run further. If you guilt them, they block you. What works? Softness. One message like, I'm here if you ever want to talk. No pressure. And then silence. Because their mind needs breathing space. What you should do if someone cuts you off. If someone cuts you off, don't beg, don't spam, don't argue. Instead, ask yourself, did I respect their boundaries? Were they already overwhelmed? Did I ignore signs they were tired? And also remember, sometimes people cut you off not because you hurt them, but because they're hurting themselves. But your job is not to fix them. Your job is to protect your peace too. Because if they return, it should be through healing, not through guilt. If you've ever cut everyone off, you're not broken, you're overloaded. And if someone cut you off, it doesn't always mean you weren't enough. Sometimes it means they couldn't handle life. If this video made you feel understood, subscribe to Sci Talks.